You're listening to Off the Script, a space for reflection, honesty, and growth. I'm your host, Olivia, and this is the Rebrand. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome home. Before we get started, I do want to apologize for the noise in the background. My neighbors are working on something. Let's just talk for a minute before we actually really jump into this video. The last 2 weeks have been so wild. I somehow gained so much weight. The kind that's like so noticeable and like very frustrating. Also the kind that makes your jeans scream at you. That's for sure. Like, why, you may ask? Because, well, I had my second mom around. She's amazing. I love her to bits, don't get me wrong. But she's also, I would say, the enforcer of the triple portion rule. Right? Why do I say that? Because breakfast was like 3 times my usual portion. In fact, I hardly even ate breakfast. Lunch, quadruple that. Snacks in between, like I was constantly snacking, and every 2 minutes she'll walk in my room and say, I got you a snack. And child, she had really good snacks. And dessert was not an option. Always had her dessert. And I think I ate like 7 or 8 times a day. That does not I'm not including the fact that I had like midnight snacks and whatnot. It was crazy. Like, we all gained so much weight, but it was great having her around. And honestly, my body was reminding me that what is currently reminding me actually that water retention is a thing. Feeling sluggish and heavy and just is also a thing, right? And my rhythm is off. Also, not to mention, I have not been to the gym since March, and I have been working out obviously here and there, but just enough to maintain my body, not to fight off the weight. So yeah, that was not good. That did not really help me, right? And life has also just been so busy and chaotic. But what I can say is I've been walking a lot more. It's obviously like a small steps literally, but it matters, right? I've been walking a lot more. I did do I think I walked 5k 3 days ago, and then 10k 2 days ago. Yesterday and today I did not walk at all. But it does remind me that progress isn't always, dramatic transformation, right? Sometimes it's just showing up, whether it's imperfect, slow and messy, whatever the case may be. As long as you're still showing up, it's still progress, honestly. And that's the perfect lead in for today's episode, I would say, right? Like, not waiting for permission. Like, you're not waiting for permission to start. You're not waiting for permission to move. Why is that becoming a tongue twister? You're not waiting for permission to take your space, right? Even when conditions aren't perfect, even when you're feeling a little bit off. So let's start here. We all struggle. Some of us struggle, I think, quietly behind closed doors, and some of us struggle loudly, and the world does notice. And I think some struggle in ways even we don't fully see. And sometimes the struggle is messy. It is paradoxical. And did I just say paradoxical? I had to pause it for a minute. I mean paradoxical. And you know what? It's very funny when you look back on it. Oh my gosh. Oh wow. I'm not gonna edit it out. For me, I would say the struggle I want to unpack today is waiting for permission, right? Waiting for somebody else to say, yes, sweetie, go ahead, you're ready. Waiting for that external validation that your ideas, your dreams, your plans, whatever the case may be, are worthy. You know that feeling where you're just sitting there, you have all this, you have all these resources, the capability, the whatnot to do what you can, and you're just waiting. You're waiting for somebody to give you permission. Like, yes, Stacey, go ahead, you've got this, sweetie. Like, I think that the person you're waiting for, whoever that might be, that person might never show up. In fact, let me take it a step further and say they'll never show up. And even if you wait, you might end up waiting forever. And you might end up missing your bus, right? And that's what I did. I'm not going to lie, but that's what I did. So today I want to unpack it. It's so embarrassing, but I'm going to unpack it nonetheless. It's, like I said, it's embarrassing. It's also very hilarious, actually. But it was a tad bit painful. But hopefully it can be helpful to somebody out there if you're listening. Maybe you went through a similar journey, or you can relate to an experience. If you did not, and you did not go through this, and that's cool, maybe you can learn a thing or two from my experience. So I do think there are various reasons as to what people why people struggle and what it is that they struggle with, right? Because many people, maybe even you, struggle with what's called external validation dependency, right? Honestly, that's just a fancy way of saying we can't move forward unless somebody else says it's okay. And it shows up in various ways. Some of it can be like you are hesitating to start a project because your friends haven't approved your idea, or you're overthinking a social media post because you're waiting for somebody else to say, oh, it's good. I'm sure we've all done this, especially like, I don't know about you guys, oh my gosh, I think I'm going to expose my age right here, but back in high school, it was already a thing where you would like take a picture and all your friends are going to vet it before you post it. And then when they posted it, like, they'll comment as if they did not help you pick the picture. External validation for reals. But moving on to the next point, I would say procrastinating, because perfection feels safer than being, seen failing. And as well as like freezing in moments where action is required, like thinking someone else knows better. Like, I'm sure that sounds familiar, but I don't know, maybe you can relate to one or all four of these that I've mentioned, but I can relate to every single one of it, because that's just classic me, that's classic Olivia. And the worst part of it all is that it's very invisible, right? Like, no one knows you're stuck in this loop, and everyone thinks you're thinking, you're preparing, you're processing, but no, the reality is that fear and external validation are secretly running the show inside you, right? So if we have to backtrack it a little bit, let's go back to high school me. High school me was very terrified of being seen. I kid you not, I was terrified of being seen. So I think it was around in the 8th or 9th grade, or maybe 10th grade, I started having this weird thing. I say weird, I use it very loosely. I had this great idea, if I can put it that way, where I just wanted to create a lot of things. I wanted to create things, I wanted to share ideas, I wanted to be visible, and I just wanted to succeed. I kid you not, it was so deeply rooted in me to the point where by the time I was in matric, my matric jacket had "I'm the creator" written on it. I kid you not. But you know what happened to me? Fear happened, and I let fear whisper sweet little nothings in my ears. Right, I would always hear, obviously, there's little whispers from beautiful fear, or would be like, if people see you fail, Olivia, you'll never be forgotten, nor will you ever be forgiven. If you are cringe, it'll haunt you forever. Rather wait, rather don't do anything, rather just wait until you're ready, right? And what did I do? I listened to that voice and I did nothing. I waited, and I hid behind I'll start when I'm ready. I don't have the resources, I don't have this, I'm not ready yet. And so I waited for courage that never even came, right? Now, that wasn't just for my creative side, but in everything, right? When it came to speaking up in class, I didn't. I honestly hesitated a lot. I was very quiet, so I did not even ask questions, unless it was like eating at me. I did not ask questions. Posting ideas in groups or whatever the case may be, no. Participating in groups in terms of leading a group, absolutely not. I was never sharing my opinions. I would share it outside of the project, maybe at break or whatever the case may be. I'll share my opinion then, but in school time, never, right? And unfortunately, courage didn't actually magically appear. Honestly, it never really does. And the lesson that I learned, at that time when I look back, is that fear is honestly the loudest when you do nothing. Because I saw, when I look back again, how this fear progressively got worse, and how when I did get to varsity, it was eating away at me, and I was actually very aware of it in varsity, and I made very active decisions when I got to varsity. But that's besides the point. That's not the focus right now. So you have to realize that fear is the loudest when you do nothing, right? It starts off by whispering, and then it's like a little bit of raising its voice at you, and then it screams, and eventually it just becomes this background noise you really can't ignore. So now fast forward to my early 20s. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I actually hate saying that word in English because I feel like I keep butchering it. It's not even an English word. But anyways, I just wanted to start a business, right? But I will say old habits die hard, and fear still had to sit on my table. I'll say that, right? So in 2020, I was very comfortable. I'll say that I was very comfortable. I had a corporate job. I had a steady paycheck, and I had this beautiful illusion of stability. And then obviously 2020 happened, COVID hit, and I lost my job. So the corporate comfort evaporated. The paycheck, it left me quicker than it got there. And stability was nowhere to be found. So I was left with two options, right? To panic or to show up. And obviously I chose to show up. But by show up, I don't mean anything fancy. I really mean just jumping headfirst into entrepreneurship with zero clue. Like, I had no idea about business structures. I literally had zero marketing knowledge. I had no plan. Honestly, it was just vibes, curiosity, and faith. I'm not gonna lie. But that is so me. Like, anything I do, at least, like, yeah, anything I really do in life is like, I'll learn as I go. I'll figure it out on the way. But it's crazy. But nonetheless, that's what I did, right? So the first business that I ever got into was skincare. I think I ended up getting into skincare because not only was it fun, but I saw it as a way of clearing my skin and helping people clear their skin as well, right? Because it seemed very simple. Like, it was just very simple. You just saw skincare products, right? It was not. It was very, very hard. I think I invested over 40,000 rand into this business, and I did so blindly. But I do also think it was very brave, but yet so foolish of me to do that. And naturally, my mother warned me, and she was just like, "Don't do it. Like, think it through and whatnot." And she made sense theoretically, but I think I needed to see it, to feel it, right, for it to really make sense to me as to why I shouldn't be doing those things. So I went all in. I did end up investing the money. It was exhausting. It was at the same time very much exhilarating. The kind of work that makes you forget you're working, right? The kind of work that makes you wake up in the morning, right? So I posted on social media, I engaged, I made sales, and despite the fear, I kept showing up. In fact, for a while, I actually forgot about the fear. And then the wonderful thing happened. My business failed. But you know what? It didn't fail because I didn't try. I think looking back, at the time, I thought I tried everything. But you know what? It doesn't really matter whether or not I tried everything, but at the time I felt like I tried everything. And you would think my business failing would make me sad. It did not. I was extremely happy. Because now, the act of starting, even though it failed, gave me something no amount of success ever could give me, right? The clarity, the love for the process, and just confidence in my own courage that I can actually make decisions, see it through, and be content with the results, whatever the results are. So that's when I realized I actually love business. I went through my whole entire life, like, literally saying I hate business, and in that moment I realized I freaking love business. It was not for the money, not for the approval, but just for the the act of creating, right? Just problem solving and just testing and pivoting, like the failing, the trying again, creating systems. I freaking love that thing. Oh my gosh, I love it. But anyway, so after my first business failed, I obviously didn't stop there. I had so many other business ventures. I did blogs. I did try social media for a while. I had other side projects, and just some things fizzled out. Some things maybe even worked out. But yeah, also I think some also taught me some lessons that no textbooks ever could. That's for sure. For example, perfectionism is a silent killer. For a very long time, I did agonize over tiny things, because my perfectionism is weird. It's not the crazy big ones. It's about the tiny things, the commas or the logo alignment or just the colors and whatnot. So I would waste a lot of my time trying to tweak that. And in that moment, my apologies for my voice, by the way, in that moment I realized that speed will always be better than perfection, because ideas move faster than fear, right? The longer I waited, the longer I slowed down my speed and focused on perfectionism, it created this tiny crack in my system where doubt was creeping in and fear was creeping in and a bunch of things was creeping in. But I did pivot that. So at some point as well, TikTok became my proving point, right? Where I decided to prove myself. And it wasn't to prove myself to people, it was to prove certain things to myself, right? I always told myself, at least one of the many lies I told myself was, I was incapable of talking to a camera because I was freaking terrified of doing it. Sure, Olivia, you are terrified, but that doesn't mean you're incapable, because you haven't tried it. And so I did try it. It was terrifying. I was doing TikTok lives for the most part. It was terrifying, but eventually I got past it, right? And then when it came to debates, I don't like confrontations. I don't like debates. I still don't, in fact. I really don't. But I have learned, thanks to TikTok lives, I have learned to just put my emotions aside. Okay, not all the time, but when I can, I try to put my emotions aside and debate objectively, right? So even though it was very scary, because you're initially arguing and debating with strangers on the internet, it was like, oh my gosh, they're going to eat me alive. But no, they're not. They're not going to eat you alive. They're actually, sure, you are debating, but they're still allowing you to state your point, right? But nonetheless, sometimes it would get chaotic. Anyway, so all of this, it was very scary, I must say. But slowly but surely, my fear became just a little bit of uncomfortability I could sit with. I was very comfortable sitting with this uncomfortability. It wasn't, oh my gosh, this dog is gonna bite me. It was now a thing of, oof, my sock kind of just shifted my shoe, right? So now fast forward to my mid-20s, I would say I'm a little bit better. I wouldn't say I'm fearless, right? I do think fear is still there. But I do choose to still move anyway. I do trust myself. I show up even more. I actually show up a lot more, especially when I doubt myself. That's when I show up the most. And I do embrace, I would say, imperfection. And I think my favorite thing to do is acting without permission. And you know what? I'm starting to think this term acting without permission could actually be related to, or even compared to, free will. Because maybe telling somebody you need to act without permission may seem like a big thing to them. So I think another way you can just put it out there for somebody is to express or exercise their free will, right? And also, you have to realize that fear is inevitable. Fear will always be inevitable, but inaction is optional. And eternal, hallelujah, we are praising the Lord. Internal trust, I do think internal trust definitely beats external validation anytime, because when you build that internal trust, that trust within yourself, it really doesn't matter whether you get anything from anybody, any form of validation from anybody. As long as you have that trust, as long as you have that validation from yourself, you're good to go, right? And you also need to remember that imperfect beginnings will always beat perfect procrastination, because at least you're starting, at least you're making a step further, and you're still taking a step further rather, right? And the best teachers in life, like hands down the best teachers, at least for me, my best teachers in life have been my mistakes, fear, and my failed businesses. Those three honestly shaped me into someone who can finally move even when I'm uncertain, someone who can show up fully even when I don't even know what's gonna happen, right? But if I'm being honest, going back now, or rather getting back to where I am now these past 2 weeks, with my body feeling heavy and just getting the weight and this disrupted rhythm in my routine. I think it is a perfect example. I could wait until the time is right to get back on track, because right now I don't feel my best, that's for sure, my body. And I could wait until the time is right, or until I feel a little bit more prettier or more disciplined, or until I have less on my plate to act or whatever. Or I can start right now, even when I still have so much on my plate, even when everything is imperfect, even when I really feel like, oh my gosh, like it's really not the time to be trying to sort out my life. I'm still gonna do it, because if I don't do it now, I'm not gonna do it by December. There will always be something else to do to get done, that's for sure. So I might as well just do it now, right? That's the point. Showing up doesn't require perfect conditions. It doesn't require anybody else's approval. It doesn't it doesn't have to be I'll work out with so and so, I'll do this when so and so does it with me. No, you can do it yourself. It doesn't even require you to feel ready, right? And sometimes, sometimes audacity is simply saying, I'm doing it anyway. And honestly, I'm just trying to think. I think these are all very synonyms. Like, it really does all lie or tie down to, or rather tie back to, exercising your free will. But do it with courage. Do it with audacity, right? But yeah, so that's where I'm at. I'm definitely still learning. I'm still growing. I would say I'm also still, navigating this messy yet so beautiful life. But yes, so remember that mistakes, fear, and uncertainty, they're part of the process. They're part of the story and just part of becoming who you are meant to become or wanting to become. And even when it feels heavy or slow or awkward or whatever the case may be, you should just keep moving forward, right? Just keep just reminded me of like Meet the Robinsons. Just keep moving forward. But anyways, they were so right. Just keep moving forward, right? Keep showing up. Keep trusting yourself. Keep forgiving yourself. That's also important. Keep forgiving yourself, right? You have to honor the journey, and you also just need to step by imperfect step, right? Take that first step. But anyways, if this episode resonated with you, or if it gave you a little bit of a nudge today, do leave a review, a comment, or just share it with somebody who needs this reminder. But then again, who needs anyone else's yes to say audacious, bold, and off the script.